Do we got YouTube? We got YouTube. Perfect.
Warning! The following program is a collection of race junkies, couch commentators, and prop spinning maniacs talking about hydroplane racing and whatever else comes to mind. It's meant to be entertaining, occasionally informative, and almost never politically correct. The opinions expressed on this show do not necessarily reflect the views of any racing organization, sponsors, or anyone with actual authority. There may be a few cuss words, because that's how real racers and real fans talk. If you're underage, overly sensitive, or allergic to fun, maybe go watch something else. We're just fourth generation hydroplane racers. And one guy on the couch looking at you, Bobby, who've gone from the couch to the race course and somehow ended up with microphones. Cheers the Chasin' Tails crew. Brandon, Kyle, Austin, and Couch Kennedy. P.S. Don't sue us. We're just here for the Rooster Tails.
All right, Chasing Tails fans, welcome back. Got a kind of just a solo show tonight. I don't know what episode it is. It's 80 something. Shit, we might even be at 90. But we're here. It's Wednesday. We got two races this weekend. Just had the driving school last weekend. We're gonna talk to Tony Black here in a few and kind of get his thoughts on the driving school. And then shoot, there we go. Got too many things pulled up. But yeah, talk to him. Get his take on the driving school. I thought it was a great weekend. Had a good time down there. And then we'll roll in, talk about Decatur a little bit. We covered it pretty good last weekend, but me and Tony will talk about it a little more. And then we'll let Tony get out of here, and I'll kind of button up the predictions and everything for Sorrell. And Bob's not here tonight, so this could be a 9:30 type night. We don't know. We'll see. That's the goal, but we should be able to stay a little bit more on track. But let's go ahead and bring Tony in and see what he had to, what his thoughts are on this weekend. Hey, Tony.
Kyle, how are you doing this evening?
Doing good, Tony. How are you?
Good. Honored to be here. Is first for me to have an opportunity to be on your podcast, and I'll tell you what you guys do is phenomenal. Um, you give a lot of information on the backstories that people wouldn't necessarily hear, and it's some of it's pretty informative, some of it's pretty comical.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can um, gain some viewers out of this. I know some of our students that we had through the driving school this weekend. We're going to sign up tonight and watch
Awesome.
the episode.
Awesome. That's cool. Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you on. Kind of talked about it a second ago before we brought you on, but I appreciate what you do with the driving school. It was very fun being down there this weekend, and it's just it's one of those feel good weekends. It's cool seeing people go out there, have a good time, and a lot of them think surprise themselves in what they're capable of, and so it was a good experience. I enjoyed going the last 2 years, and definitely look forward to doing it again next year.
For me, and one of the reasons why I wanted to be involved with the driving school is when I first got into racing 46 years ago this year. Um, what we started out in the 5 liter class, and it was so competitive. I mean, realistically, you could show up at a race and there'd be 40 boats in your class. And if in your elimination heat, if you didn't run first or second, you didn't have an opportunity to run a final.
Mm-hmm.
So that being said, back in the day, young fledgling racers, you would go to the guys who were dominating the class, if you will, and ask them for information, and the information you got to be 180 degrees of where you needed to be.
Yeah.
Because you're a competitor. And I always vowed that if I were ever in a position to give fledgling racers good information, good mentorship, something that was going to keep them engaged and being involved with the sport, that was what I wanted to do, to pay it forward.
Yeah.
And over the years, I've been very fortunate to have driven for some really, really good teams. And I've had enough success, or I've had a lot of success winning championships and titles, etc. That only makes it more passionate when I see one of the students come out of the boat and see the look on their face, that's all the motivation I need to do what I do.
Yeah. No, it's very cool, and I can attest to that. Me and Maddie were kind of taking turns trying to get video because I think the money shot this weekend at the driving school is that post run when they're getting off the dock, saying hi to family and all that stuff. That's where the emotions come out a little bit, and it was cool to see that. And you know, I think it's no different than, obviously, a lot of us that are racing right now, we didn't necessarily go through the driving school, but it's no different than getting back from your first test session or your first heat or whatever, whatever your first experience was in the boat. Everybody's sitting there waiting and happy, and so it's cool that people that are just kind of getting their toes dipped in the sport get to experience that.
Well, especially with you, Kyle, you and Austin, you guys are what, fourth generation boat racers now?
Yep.
And to see, and one of the things that at the driving school, that I try to drill into everybody's mindset is we have the most unique form of motorsports that anybody could possibly be involved in. And it's the key, the buzzword, the commonality across the board. And it doesn't matter if you're from New Zealand, Australia, United States, Canada, Europe, or whatever, it's family.
Yep.
And I say this, I would rather be around some boat racers than I would family members.
Yeah.
It's uncanny. I had an uncle that raced in the short track NASCAR series for 47 years. And I raced go-karts for a while. I had a brother-in-law that raced NHRA, and he would go to the big title races. I mean, he drove a 7-second car. So it wasn't your local, ET bracket racer.
Yeah.
And I've always been a water baby. I always wanted to be around race boats. Didn't have any aspiration to drive a car or in a dragster or whatever. So it's a unique sport, and it's because of the people and the family environment.
Yeah. No, 100%. We had a couple participants this weekend that were kind of already ingrained in the sport a little bit, and that was very quickly brought up, especially by Dylan Weddle. He said that's like the thing about boat racing that makes it the best for him is the family aspect. It's really cool they get to run that boat as a team, and to your point about enjoying being around boat racers more than family members. For the most part, I don't get the choice because we all race, we're all there. But it's the same thing. You go to any team in the pits and it's mostly family, like one family or two. There's a lot of cousins racing this boat or stepbrother racing that boat or whatever the case may be. Like it's a very close knit circle. And I said it to the couple of the guys that I got to talk to this weekend. You'd be surprised how similar a race weekend is to that driving school. It's very, obviously we add the competition aspect into it on race weekend, but the general environment, the general vibe, the camaraderie, it's all still there. Everybody's just trying to make sure everybody gets through the weekend safe, and I think at the end of the day, everybody wants everybody to have a good weekend. They just want them to have a little bit less good of a weekend as them.
pretty much.
Yeah.
I would give me just a second. First of all, I don't do the school by myself. We have a very good team, if you will. Tom Newman, Scott Anderson, myself, Jake McCormick. But we can't do it without our volunteers, as you got to witness firsthand. It takes the help of many people. And a lot of the boat racers from our area make it a point to come down to help out with the driving school because they buy into what we're trying to do here. We know we'll always have bucket listers. And when we look at it and we look at the numbers and the percentages of people that actually go through the driving school, we know that we're pulling people out, and it averages right around 20% of the amount of students, about that percentage wise, go on to become racers or owners or whatever.
Yep.
And that's why we do it, is because we're giving back to the sport.
Yeah. No, and I mean we've seen a couple. And I mean you had Sontag went through the school and got a boat. I know Mango went through the school and got a boat. So I think there's been some documented success of that recently. And I could correct me if I'm wrong. I've only been down twice, but I feel like the numbers the last couple of years have been up in terms of participants. Is that true?
They have, and it's it is. Obviously, the more people that you have go through the class, the better your percentages
Yeah.
get. I think last year we had 24 students.
Wow. Yeah.
This year we had 17.
Yeah.
So don't expect that number to be real high. But if we can get, and if we can get, and I tell them in the classroom, when the students, I said, you are now part of the APBA family. And please understand that it's not just about being a driver or an owner. There are places within APBA that you can have an impact, whether it be volunteering at a local race, whether it would be crewing for a team. Um, as a matter of fact, and I'll go in this a little later, but um, there are some really, really good things that come out of this. And they may wind up being a scorer, they might wind up being a referee or an inspector. That's what we try to drill into them. Look, this isn't a one and done. You're part of the family, and pick what you would like to do. Doesn't necessarily mean you have to be an owner or a driver.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you see that in racing a lot. Like people get hung up like, "Oh, I want to be in racing, but you got to be a racer or a driver." And it's like, "No, not really." I mean, look at all the guys that crew chief in NASCAR or any of these other series. Like those guys probably a lot of them probably never raced a car in their life. They just understand cars. And I think you see a
Right.
lot of people that is throughout the years at the races that come up and they understand so much about the boats, except the boats themselves, like the engines, propellers. Like there's so many. There's quite a few people that actually understand that stuff because at the end of the day, it's a car engine, and they just don't totally understand the boat itself, the hull. But I think a lot of people, and I think it's pretty much everyone that got back from a run this weekend is surprised how not strange it is driving. Like you get out there and it's pretty quickly comfortable, and it we'll say it's like driving a car, but it's not a whole lot different.
Well, I think first and foremost, it's a sensation of speed that
Mm,
you feel on water that you would not feel as much on land. And it takes them a lap or two, or maybe even three, to start to get their feet under them and feel comfortable about going that fast. I mean, if you equate it to water skiing, water ski at 26, 28 mile an hour, but when you're out there on a set of skis, man, it feels like you're hauling butt. And now you add 80 mile an hour to that, and anything around 100 mile an hour feels like light speed.
yeah.
So it takes a while to get comfortable. But I was surprised this weekend how quick some picked it up. And from an instructor standpoint, I can't make them drive over their head. That's not what I'm trying to do. I want to keep them in their comfort zone, but I don't hold them back like some of the other driving schools would. If for instance, if you did a NASCAR school and you have a car that's capable of running 200 mile an hour, but you're only going to run 135 behind the instructor, and if you get out of line, he's going to pull you. He's going to shut you down.
Yeah.
My job is to make you feel more comfortable driving the boats and give you better lines, because everybody's fast down the straightaway. It's how quick you can get through the corners.
Mm,
No different than racing. If you can get through a corner and smooth and quick and not be herky jerky and bind the boat up, you're going to get a much better ride. That's
yeah.
my job as an instructor, is to give them that feedback, that information.
Mm. Yeah, I think and you saw that there. I think I don't say every driver, but most of them they go out there in that first couple laps. They are right on those buoys and just doing everything to kind of make sure they're right on the buoy line. And then after they kind of get comfortable, they pick up speed. They start finding where the boat wants to go to stay fast. And then that in a lot of ways that's the art of racing right there. Um, you know, obviously in there's limits to it when there's other boats around and stuff. But when they're out there by themselves, the boat wants to go certain places, and obviously if it's not set up right, then maybe you got some issues. But I know you guys got
Right.
those things set up right, and it was cool to watch them kind of come out the first time and they go through the turn, they crank the wheel, and they're like, whoa, this thing turns. So I think a lot of them think it's not going to. And then you see
Right.
it like almost like they hook it. I think we did actually have one little hook this weekend, but then
Well, and
as every lap they start creating their own arc and figuring out what the line is, and it's cool to see.
but that same person, and he went right back to the whip as soon as he. And what had happened was the course was so big, we had 4 buoys out there, and it was real wide from entrance to exit pin. And when he started turning, he literally turned around the first 2 buoys, but he didn't realize he was in the center of the corner. And he did the exact thing I told him never to do. You never turn right at speed.
Turn it right, yeah.
And when he turned it right, it just swapped ends on him.
Yeah, these boats don't
And
do
he
that.
gathered it up and was right back at the whip once he figured out what he had done. And then he blasted off, 9 fast laps like he had stole the thing.
Yep.
So
yeah, I think he had it fired back up before the water settled from the spin. He wasn't wasting any time getting back up and running.
yeah.
No, that was
Well, there
he was
definitely
like the only
were.
one that, oh, go ahead.
There definitely were some that shined more so than others.
Yeah.
I think Michael Perry, which is Matt Sontag's stepson,
I think so, yes.
I think we have a ringer there, and they better be looking for another boat pretty quick because
I just got a message today about getting prices on driving suits. So yeah, it did take long. I think you could tell right when he got back to the dock that there was some movement coming there. So I think he said that he might get in it in the inboard / vintage Madison race later
in Madison, yeah.
Yeah.
He definitely has the it factor, and I think with the right tutelage, and I offered to mentor him. I said, "Look, if you ever have any questions, please come to me. And if I see you doing something and I think it's going to benefit you as a racer, I'll just, and it's constructive criticism, but it's information that, I had been driving for 25 years, and I had Mike Weber come up to me one day and said, "You don't realize this is what you're doing, but this is what I see you're doing." And it made all the difference in the world. And I'd been racing for years.
Yeah.
So it just takes that one person to give you that one little tidbit that's going to make it much easier for you.
Yes. Yeah. And to that point, whenever we're at a race with a live stream or there's somebody filming, I make an effort to go back and watch my races, because I think, especially once you get to the competitive side of it, trying to put together what you feel on the water to what the boat actually looks like off the water could be a challenge for a newcomer. And whether in a new boat or anything. So being able to, whether it's a third party, a person watching and giving you feedback, or you're going back and trying to find feedback yourself, it's always helpful. I know some people don't love taking criticism about their driving or feedback on their driving. It's always a touchy subject, but yeah, it helps. And I at least in my what I saw this weekend, every single person was so welcoming to that advice. And you were a little farther away this year with the cattails being up there, but I know from last year there were multiple times where I heard you give some sort of instruction or feedback to them while they were running, and you could see in real time them react to it and make that adjustment or do something a little bit different. And it's cool to see, because it would not be surprising to me if somebody went out there and just got tunnel vision, can't hear, they're just locked in, like, I'm just doing my thing. But for the most part, I think everybody does a good job of being attentive and aware and listening to your instruction.
Yeah. This weekend we had to be very fluid. And when I say that, logistics, I mean, we lost 100 yards of what we would normally consider our pit area due to high water. So we had to adapt and overcome with that. There was a 9,000 girl mud run there on the fairgrounds where we do the school. So we had to change where we would normally come in as far as our entrances, what we had to use. Just multiple things came up, and it's a testament to the support and the people that we have working with us that we were able to make it successful and make it work. it was amazing. And when you sit back, and of course I was upset and I was ready to quit and this, that, and the other. And then you just stop back, take a deep breath, and find a way to make it work. And the reason why we do that is because we had, 17 students that were depending on us to get their ride of a lifetime.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, any boat racing weekend, whether school or not, is going to come with some challenges, some obstacles that you got to get over. And think our sport forces anybody that's been in it or still in it to learn how to be fluid and be able to adapt and adjust. Because if you can't, then it's going to eat you up and spit you out. And no, I applaud you guys, the team. You, Tom, Scott, Jake, Jack. Is it Jake or Jack?
It's Jake.
It's Jake. Okay.
He spells it weird.
He spells it weird. And
But
I've heard people call him Jack, and he just responds, which makes sense. I would too, but I had to get it straight finally. But and then you got Box 21. Those guys just sit out there in the heat all day, and they're they're troopers, and they do a good job, and they're ready to go if anything happens. Crane guy was awesome this weekend. I mean, it like you said, it takes an army to make it happen, and sometimes just bodies isn't the answer. You need people that work well together, and for a weekend with as many little obstacles and hurdles to get over, it really didn't feel like it.
And that's a testament to the support and the people that we have working with us that have partnered with us. Box 21, we can't travel that circus without them. Again, Mr. Newman, Tom is, and I tell everybody, he's the straw that stirs the drink. He houses the boats. He maintains the boats. He has put a lot of his own money into them. The school wouldn't happen if it weren't for him. And then just the support that we have from everybody. And would this be a good time to share the inside info that I'd given you about one of the students?
Yes, absolutely. That's a very cool story.
So we had a student, and I won't name names, but he saw what we were trying to do, and he wants to be involved in the sport. And I have no doubt that somewhere down the line he will be involved with the sport in some capacity. But he had such a good feeling going home from the driving school that he said, how can, because Tony was always talking about paying it forward. How can I pay it forward? Well, guess what? We talked about it, and I suggested it, and he's going to pay for a tuition for somebody else to go through the school next year to pay it forward, with the caveat that he wants to do the school again himself. And I said, man, what a great opportunity. Yeah. You get it. You understand that it's about making it available to somebody else because you had a great experience.
Yeah.
So one of the students, and I'll just go ahead, he was our youngest student, Nicholas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we posted him just a little bit ago.
13 years old. And here's a kid that very, very, very well mannered, very polite, very quiet, very timid. And I had to work with him a little bit to get him to open up a little bit. But after he had taken his ride, and everybody in the pits, all the students, all the staff, all the volunteers, they had such a really good feeling. When he got out of the boat, everybody was applauding him. And his grandpa said, I would like to do this next year. He and his wife are employees of the fairgrounds there. And I'm sure that they don't have a lot of disposable income. At least that's what I felt. So having Tim give the paid tuition, I thought, okay, here's an opportunity for somebody that desperately wants to go through the school to be able to do that because of somebody else's kindness.
Yes.
Um, he wants to do the school because he wants to be able to do things with Nicholas down the road and be engaged and involved. So that's what I mean about paying it forward and being a part of the family. And this guy graciously is donating this. It just blows me away.
Yeah.
Boat racing community is unlike any other form of motorsports.
Yes. There is no doubt about that. We talk about it damn near every episode on this podcast. It's something. I think it's one of the couple things that keep people in the sport as long as they are, because Lord knows there's plenty of reasons to get out of it, costs, travel, whatever. It's a lot to do this sport, a lot to participate in it, and so family and the camaraderie and I think the care and the passion that people have for each other is what keeps people. You see, you had Nick Roos up in HRL. He left. And went on and did some car racing for a while. And after 2 years, he's back. And he said he wants to be able to take his family to the boat races. Like, he wants to be able to have his kids grow up in that environment. And that's just one example. Like you said, what we had at the driving school this weekend, and a weekend filled with feel good moments. Even after you got another one. And I think that one's going to be really cool to see next year. Nick getting to see his grandpa go out there and do it, and then them being able to talk about that shared experience together. I didn't even get the pleasure of doing that with my dad until last year, because as much as my dad's been in racing so much longer than I have, he had never gotten behind the wheel. And so it was cool with how much we worked together on the 2.5 to be able to kind of have an understanding of what goes out on the water, even after 2-3 years of racing myself.
Well, this is something that I experienced with my daughters, because they both had driven my boats.
Mm-hmm.
And there's something special. And of course, I don't know that I ever got to race against Brittany in my 2.5 mod, but when I was driving for Kenny in the Illusion in the national mod, we'd step up my 2.5 mod and put Shannon in it. And Shannon would go out there, and you go into the first corner with your kid right beside you and look over at him and just think, my God, there are a lot of people that don't get this opportunity.
Yeah.
Cherish it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like I was telling when we were talking on the phone the other day, like Nick gets to go to school. I guess it's probably summer break now, but when he gets to go back to school, or whenever he gets to go hang out with his friends next, he's going to have a pretty cool story to tell. And I don't think there's any other 13-year-olds really anywhere that can say they've done the same thing. If they, like I said on the phone, if they are, I want to talk to them because they're full of shit.
Well, and I think if with Nick, it definitely be a conversation starter for him.
Oh yeah. Outside, and I mean, obviously Nick, I think was the glaring moment this weekend. But it was really cool seeing Michael Perry and Dylan Weddle, both guys in the sport, been crewing for the last couple of years, get there. Got to talk with both of those guys. They both did really good out there in the My Way. There were a couple other really good. There were a few guys you saw go out there and they were just comfortable right away and did great. And then even the ones that weren't necessarily out there flat-footing, like there was nobody that struggled. Like I said earlier, it's just everybody picked up on it pretty quick. Anybody that did have anything kind of to figure out, you talked them through it and they listened well. It was cool. We had Sarah Martin, who was Kyle Martin's wife. Kyle Martin participated last year. Those guys are down in the Madison area. So that was really cool. And they're ones that, like you said, they might not necessarily be racing as a result of the driving school, even though I did hear them talking, and that's definitely something that they're working towards. But they're already they were helping getting packed up at the end of the day, kind of owning all the equipment, and you'll see them at Salina.
They'll be in Madison. I know that they crew for the Griggs with the GP and Dave Muszynski, GP in 7-liter G&H, and so they're engaged. They're involved at a certain level. Probably, I think eventually you'll see them in boat racing. Mm-hmm. But Kyle's one of those guys that he's not only mechanically smart, but he when last year when he's driving the boat, And here's a guy that had never been in a hydroplane before, and he comes back and he starts giving me feedback.
Yeah.
Well, this is what I felt. Do you know how rare that is?
Yeah.
I mean, it's one thing to go out and feel it, but be able to come back and describe what you felt, that's a gift.
Yeah.
Michael Perry is the same way, and I think it's a matter of seat time, as you well know. The more you're in it, um, if you pay attention, the quicker that learning curve happens. And then being able to eventually, when you really start getting competitive, and it's the little subtle things like being able to give whoever does your propeller work, give them information so that they can tweak the propeller to give you the maximum benefit of that tweak. A lot of people don't have that type of input or fill to be able to transcend that to somebody that can help them.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think there's quite a few drivers racing competitively that can't necessarily give that type of feedback when they get back. So to have somebody go out there first experience and be able to not only acknowledge what they're feeling, know kind of what causes it, and the reason why behind it, and then be able to communicate it. I even struggled with that first year, like trying to figure out how to describe what I was feeling out there in a way that would make sense. And trust me, there were a few times my dad looked at me like, "What the hell are you talking about?" I don't know, man.
Yeah.
That's the best way I can think to describe it.
And it um, if you've driven boats in multiple classes, or even the same class but a different boat, being able to pick up on the cues of every boat is different and they'll all talk to you. You just have to be able to perceive what it's saying and then be able to divulge that information back to improve your position or your whatever the boat's doing, you know making subtle changes to make it better. you know a lot of people, you tell them how to set a skid fin and they go, I've never tried that before. And you don't
I was just
realize
doing
that
that earlier
how
today.
critical a skid fin
Yep.
is. Just in a 16th or an eighth of inch adjustment make the boat handle totally different.
No doubt. No doubt. So yeah, I think overall, I'm just gonna kind of give my high level overview of the weekend. I know I kind of did a little bit, but beginning with the team that ran it, like we discussed, great group of guys. Me and Maddie had a real good time putting down those margarita towers Saturday night. But not from the enthusiasm in which you guys conduct the day and conduct the event, to the knowledge that you share with the drivers, and then just the kind of the whereabouts to work your way through the day and through the challenges, and keeping things rolling at speed, and like I said, any little fixes that need to happen on the boat, making sure boats are getting in and out of the water smoothly. Like it's very well run. It makes it very easy, I think, for the participants to just worry about themselves, worry about their run, and they got, some of them got all the nerves in the world. They don't need to be worried about like when they're going or any of that stuff. But then just to the next part is the experience that everybody had. I can confidently say there wasn't a single person that walked away disappointed in the in what they paid for, feeling like they didn't get their money's worth. The water time, I think, alone will just about get anybody there. But then the classroom, I really do think that helps a lot of them, because I remember I didn't sit through no boat racing class. I got Bob, Brandon, Uncle G, Dad telling me all these things, and I didn't sit through any. Just, you do this, you do that, you do that. So I think that helps calm some of the nerves. And then my favorite part of it is actually getting to interact with the drivers, both before and after. You get to see the nerves and the question, curious part of it before, and then after, it's just like, when do I get to go again?
And that's the thing. It's probably one of the reasons why I've been so passionate about boat racing as long as I have, is the interaction, and then the feeling you get when you've had a really good heat, or you've won a really competitive weekend, going somewhere and winning a title or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to describe it till you've done it.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you could give like a 1-paragraph summary of your weekend, how you felt about it, how it went, what you remember and what you're looking forward to next year. Like, give me a like if somebody was like, you gotta write the back cover of this book for the 2026 inboard driving school. What would you say?
Um, hindsight is always 2020. Um, we had some challenges, and because of the people that were there, we were able to adapt and overcome and make it work. And you don't really realize what's happening until after the fact and the smoke clears and
Yep.
everything's done. But to your point, it's people like Kyle and Sarah Martin. It's people like the Weddles that, they've been around boat racing forever, and they put Dylan in the boat, but Jeff is on the dock, and
Mm-hmm.
Dylan's wife, she's running around helping out, holding boats. And it's the big picture is we are so lucky to have the people that will come forward and volunteer their time, to be able to make this come to fruition. And if you were to talk to members of the safety team or people that have gone through the school or whatever, it's about how we can make their experience better. And I think we've, in hindsight, looking back on this weekend, yeah, we had a lot of things come up that we normally wouldn't have come up. But I still think the class, even it being small, was probably one of the most successful classes that we had had.
That's good. That's good. Well, I think to wrap it all up, I'd like to say thank you to you, the Newman team. You know, you, Tom, Scott, Jake, the Weddles, Box 21, Crane Guy, everybody that helped put it on, Dana Potts, everybody at APBA that helped make it happen. I want to thank the participants for coming out and kind of getting a taste of what we do all summer and quite frankly all year round. I hope everybody had a good time, both through the classroom, through the dunk test, through their run out there, and watching their other classmates go. And I'm looking forward to it again next year.
Well, I think, one of the interesting things, and I tell people this, I said, we as staff, volunteers, or whatever, when you see the nucleus of the class get together, and of course they're all sitting together in the classroom, but they don't know each other. And then you see them start talking back and forth, and then you see them going to dinner, you
Yep.
know, with each other, and pretty soon they're, now they're Facebook people, and they
Mm-hmm.
communicate, and it's a bond, it's a
That's what it's all
commonality
about.
bond. And well, I've had students from 6 years ago that are best friends, and they keep in touch, and we've had nothing to do with it. It all happens on its own. It's like we all stand back and go, look, it's happening again. And it does it every year. So when you see your class gel like that, it's a special feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you're going to continue seeing that. It's like I said, I'm looking forward to next year. I have no doubt it will be run just as well. And as long as Mother Nature stays away, we'll have a good time again.
Well, Kyle, as long as you want to be involved and engaged with the school, um, you're welcome. It's a standing invitation to come down, and thank you and Maddie, because Jake he wasn't there on Sunday because his stepdaughter had her high school graduation,
Yep.
and you and Maddie came down to fill in that spot. And it's good to know that you guys have our back, and we don't miss a
Absolutely.
beat. We're still
Yeah.
able to provide stuff for our students. Thank you guys.
Absolutely. It was our pleasure, and we like we said, this sport's a big family. We want to help each other out, and we gotta make sure the school's one of the things that is aimed at the future of the sport. And I think a lot of times the sport gets stuck, and we need to make sure we're putting our effort and focus into the things that are future oriented. So
Any of the new people that come into the sport, you know, and if you've been in the sport for a while, and you ever have a question, come up to me and I'll give you the honest answer. Because when people don't get the right information and they're spending a lot of money to do this sport, the first thing that happens is you get frustrated and you get upset, and
hmm
then you leave the sport.
hmm
That's not what we want to do. As long as you're having fun and you're engaged, it's easy to justify what you're doing.
absolutely, no, I agree. Well, all right. It's Wednesday, so kind of like the the door on the week. We're looking forward now. We got Summer Nationals in Decatur, Illinois. Team Newman will be there with National Mod, correct?
That is correct.
And then Jake will also be there with his National Mod.
Jake will be there with his national mod. Cassie Briggs will be there with hers.
Mm-hmm.
She and Dennis Scott, as I understand it, the Harnacks are coming from the Seattle area or Washington State.
Mm-hmm.
That is a fast boat. I've raced against it before in the past, and if they have that thing dialed in, they're going to be somebody to reckon with.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I hope that happens because you want to race against the best of the best.
Yep. Yeah, we talk about it all the time on the podcast. You don't want to beat people because of equipment or because their boat's not running right. It's racing the best is fun. It's what makes it competitive. What makes it rewarding. So it's cool to see that boat back out. I don't know that I've ever gotten to see that boat run personally, because I know it hasn't been out on the east side or east coast for a while now. Maybe probably since Pontiac Lake class ran, so almost a decade. So I'm excited to see that one
been over
run.
a decade. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that
But
one run, and then you guys should put on a pretty good show. Those are 4 good boats, and
I think that there'll be, we won't have the numbers, but I think we'll have the quality there. I don't think that any of the boats that'll be there, as far as in the national mod class, are going to be slouches.
Mhm.
And I think you'll see 4 very, very fast boats out there dicing it up, and that's my hope.
Yeah.
And if I'm successful in doing well, that's all I can ask for running against those guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Josh Harnack is no slouch as far as a driver.
No, he's getting his getting his recognition, getting the ride in the GP. I don't know if it's good. I think it's GP 88 now. But the former GP 12, they'll be driving that out on the West Coast this year, and then it might be in Madison. I'm not totally sure, but yeah, you don't. Maybe it's happened a couple times, but you don't generally get yourself a ride in a GP if you're if you don't know what you're doing behind the wheel.
Exactly.
But no, I think like you said, National Mod Class is set up to have what I think will be one of the better weekends, competition wise, in the last couple of years. I know it seems like we get a few of them out every year, but they're not necessarily at the same races. So hearing that we're going to have 4 of them, and particularly ones that have shown good performances and consistency the last couple of years, it'll be cool to see. And then I don't really know that there's any class that's going to struggle on boat count this weekend. From what I'm hearing, Y boat's going to have 4 or 5 plus boats. 2.5 stock, I suspect, will be anywhere from 8 to 10. Probably 8 on the low side. And 350, they're going to have, I'm guessing, 7 to 10. What else do we got? I don't know. The flat bottoms confuse me, man. I don't know which ones are which one's SESA. A lot of them got both on there, so I think we're going to have, as a general number of flat bottoms, not specifically, probably a good 6 to 8 of them. So you'll see good racing there. You got former national champion and Hall of Champions and John Britton. He'll be there. Skiffs are always going to put on a show. When you get 8 to 10 skiffs to show up to a race, it's always fun to watch.
Well, back to the flat bottoms, didn't Parks Jones just get a new boat?
Yeah. They'll be there.
And it used at Edgewood, correct?
Yes, they had the yellow one at Edgewood.
Yeah, that thing looked very fast.
Yes, it did. They sent him out there in his test session in the morning, and the radios weren't working. And everybody was sitting there on the shore after like 8 laps, like, "Hey, buddy, come on, you gotta come back in." He was just cruising. But yeah, no.
And the skiffs, I think the skiffs will have a very good amount of boats. They when they do show up, they show up in force.
Yes.
And I think that, and those, I mean, you look at, I don't know, is Billy Sewell going to be there?
I believe so.
Between the Stewarts and Billy Sewell and Gunther's, he stepped up his game last year. I had a chance to ride with Keith and Kevin a few times last year. In the past, I've ridden with David Greenlaw, and I understand that boat's been reworked and that it showed a lot of promise at Edgewood. Um, yeah, I think you're going to have some pretty good skiffs out there, and they're me. I love riding in a skiff. They're a hoot.
Yeah. I my this part of me wants to go get in a skiff. The other part of me knows that I am going to need a stretcher when I get back. I already deal with enough back pain just from driving a hydro. I do not see any version of a skiff being even remotely okay for me. I maybe one day, maybe if I get a little boozed up one night and I'm not making best decisions in the morning, I don't know, but it's they're different, man. They are different, and they know how to put on a show. I'll tell you from a chase and tail side, we post clips of basically every type of boat that is at races. I'm pretty sure I could post a pic video of a skiff going 5 mile an hour, and it would get 100,000 views.
Well, I think number
they
one
just
is
always
because
hit.
of the way the hulls act.
Yeah.
And I will say this: skiff racers are a different breed
Yes, they are.
compared to hydroplane racers. I mean, it's kind of like what we think is lane two. It's lane five for them. They will get
Yep.
right up in there with you
Oh
and
yeah.
push you out of the way.
And you are going to see
So,
some of that this weekend. I guarantee it.
and I believe you will, because all the chips are going to be on the table then.
Yep.
But and they're great. Skiffs are a great bunch of people, and I've always been treated like a king amongst that family.
Mhm.
It's like apples and oranges when you have hydros and skiffs
Yeah.
and flat bottoms there. But um, I've always been well received, and I think a lot of the people that do the sport.
Yeah. Yeah, no. The skiffs are fun. We've always been good friends with the Stewarts, with the Sewells, and they're I think from the outside you could probably tell there's a little different in personality between skiff and hydro drivers, but everybody gets along just the same. It's a family. It doesn't matter what you
It's
drive, if you drive,
it's
it's a family.
they're kind of like cousins, right?
Yeah.
They're family, but they're not your brother and
They're just
sister.
a
They're
little
cousins.
crazy. They're just a little crazy. But yeah, I you got any predictions for this weekend? Like any classes that you think you kind of know how they're gonna go? We'll say for the
Um,
nationals specifically.
if 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 the seven leaders show up in force, like I think that they'll at least have a legal field.
Okay.
My prediction is if Cal Phipps is there, he'll shine. So
Yep.
that would be my seven leader pick.
You won't see me disagreeing with that. And I hope he is there.
Um,
I want to see that thing run again. It's been a long time.
Now that being said, the boat that Greg Kreitzer had there at the driving school,
Mm-hmm.
that's probably the second fastest current G&H one that runs. That's probably the second fast G&H.
Yeah. It's a
Weddles
good
are
boat.
right there knocking on the door.
Yep.
So I think that if the class shows up, I think you'll see some very good racing there.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say Cal would probably be my prediction there.
Okay.
National mods, and I only say this because of experience, it's going to boil down to probably Josh Harnack, and and I don't want this to sound egotistical, but
Nope. We
Team
do it
Newman,
every week. We do it every week. You can say it.
Team Newman will be right there. If we don't, if we can't win it, we're going to be right there pushing Josh across the line. We're going to
Huh?
make him earn it.
Yeah. That's all you can do at the end of the day if you don't got the speed. And yeah, I'm not saying you guys don't. I'm really hoping we get to see 4 heats of deck to deck action.
H350s. If Bobby King's there, I think hands down Bobby King's going to have it. That
Yeah.
is the that is absolutely the fastest H350, at least on the APBA side. And if Patrick Haworth is there, it would be a coin toss, because
Yeah.
that boat, he ran at Cedar Creek last year, and
It
I
was
think it was
insane.
like
It looked
second
so
time
good.
on the water, and
Yeah.
he was lights out.
Yeah. No,
And
that's my pick for the weekend if that boat's there. I no disrespect to Bobby, but like you said, Bobby, to my knowledge, Bobby King's the fastest 350 I've ever seen. But watching that 924 run in Caesar Creek last year, I was like, they got a chance.
and that, I think that was only the second time that boat had been on the water. So
Yep.
when you take not only Patrick's experience as a driver,
Mm-hmm.
but being able to set the boat up,
Mm-hmm.
and then the owner and the crew that they have, I don't know that money really is an object for them, um, but just Patrick's skill set, knowing how to set up a boat. If he's there, man, that's going to be a really really tough one. But I would say if Patrick's not there, Bobby definitely gets a nod.
Fair enough. I agree.
2.5 stocks. Well, is it really considered a stock, or is it? What do you,
Shoot,
we'll call him the S. We'll call him the S class for this weekend.
yeah, that's
right?
fair. That's fair.
Well, I would happen to say that TKO's definitely right in the mix with them.
Yeah.
If Al Thompson would be there, and I know he's not going to be there,
Yep.
I would say the 92 with John driving, that would probably be the pick. But man, I can't discount what you got doing. Who else is running the Hondas?
Sontag will be there at the Honda. Kreitzer will be there with the Honda. I don't think Hearn's gonna be there, so I think that's it for Hondas. But I know you'll get Kyle Davenport's registered from out west. He's a wicked fast forward, defending U.S. national champion. They ran it on the West Coast last
Right.
year, and he walked away with it. So Caroline Oliver will be there with her 27. Trying to think who I'm missing. I don't know if Dennis is going to be there. I'm not sure if he's racing.
I don't know. I don't know if Dennis Wright will be there, but he in the last year he had stepped up his game considerably. Man, that's the hardest class for me to pick because most everybody's good.
Yep. Yeah, the 2.5 stock class always finds a way to put on a show, and I don't think this weekend will be any different. I'm confident. I think we've got the boat running pretty good and really good, honestly, compared to last year. We've picked up a ton of speed, so as long as I do my job and hit my starts, I think we can get the job done. But it's you gotta do the small things right. You can't blow starts. You can't get penalties. You can't make mistakes getting the boat prepped. I was just over there today, trying to go through everything. Got a little list of things to do before Friday, but yeah, it's a competitive class. It's not one that you can just step into and back your way into wins.
Back when I first started, that was the entry level class, and it has changed so much because it's really not an entry level class anymore.
No, it's a it's like
it's very
super competitive. The budget. I say budget with quotes, super competitive class. It's like if you can't afford to go 350 race, but you want to race really competitively, get a 2.5 stock. 2.5 stock.
Exactly.
Yeah. What else we got? We got 1 liter. To my knowledge, 1 liter this weekend is Chris Ritz in the 2, Corey Peabody in the 18, which was Seckler's. I would imagine J. Michael Kelly driving the 41. I don't know if he's making the trip out here, probably maybe with Corey. But Timmy's boat to my understanding, will be there and somebody will be driving it. Who else do we got? Lem, they'll have their boat out here with Marissa behind the wheel. Sean, I'm probably missing somebody, but just to my knowledge, those 5. Who you got?
If I had to pick one right off the top of my head, my guess would be Mr. Seckler. That would be my pick.
Yeah.
Or
so it's
at least
it's not
Corey.
technically Jim's boat anymore. It's Corey's, but you got the defending national champion with an H1 Unlimited driver driving it. I think it's a fairly good pick to make. I think the sports books would have them pretty high up there.
And I tell people the 1 liter mod class, one of the reasons why you'll see a lot of the unlimited drivers drive these is because they're such a challenge to drive.
Yeah,
They're
and
not
like
only wing sensitive, they're rudder sensitive, power to weight ratio. I mean, if you take your foot off of them when you're driving, they don't just settle down in the water like a normal boat would. They'll glide for a while. So, just a very finesse class, very challenging to drive. And I think that's the reason why you see a lot of, the Jimmy Shanes that raced in the class, J. Michael Kelly,
mhm.
Corey Peabody, you know, it's because they're a challenge to drive, and it challenges even the upper echelon drivers to come down and drive the smaller boat. And I think that's the reason why you see them in there.
Yeah, I think the way that those boats drive, and I've only gotten to drive one once, but I think the way that they drive, from what I understand, translates very well to the way an Unlimited drives. Just very, you got to fly them. You can't get them bogged down or you're toast. So it's gonna be fun to watch. I did just see a comment. JMK will be there, so it'll be strong teammates going head to head in the Y class. I think those I'm curious to see how Marissa does in Lem's boat. Lem's boat's shown some real speed the last couple years. Ritz was really fast last year. I think you're gonna get 4 really good heats in that class this year. And Sean, I know Sean's had some bad luck this year, but Sean's been a very competitive 1-liter in the past. I really hope that he was able to find some time to get the boat sorted out this year. I know he's busy with the race, but I think everybody would love to see the hometown guy go out there and do well. So, if I had to make a pick, I'm going to go with JMK in the 41. Just
Only
he's driven
because,
it, he's gotten more experience in it than Corey has in the 18 per se.
well, I think he's got more experience than probably 3 or 4 of them collectively.
Yeah, that's true. Probably
Yeah,
all of them. Yeah.
yeah. No, Mike is he's certainly one of my favorite people. He and his wife have always been so nice. Um, we always say, you know, Merry Christmas to each other and holidays and stuff. And just, I think a lot of Mike, and I value our friendship, but I would, only because he has a lot of seat time, I'd say if Mike's there, it's probably going to be his race to win or lose.
I agree. And then we got one more
Two and a
class
half
for
mods. There's one
yeah,
for you that's
yeah,
a crapshoot.
yeah.
Um, I would say you'll see one of the English's boats, one of the Fat Chance boat, either the 25 or the 52 will, by the end of the weekend, Randy will find a way to get those boats out front,
Yeah.
irregardless who's driving.
Yep, I agree. I said, because I know Liddy Coach driving one of them, and I had seen a comment last week that Tate was in the other. My pick is if Tate's in the one, Tate's going to win. If Tate's not in that one and it's somebody else, then Grant will win in his. And I fully suspect if it is Grant and Andrew and those, that you're going to see those boats running pretty close to each other most of the weekend. I am really excited to see Greg Isaac with the A47. That thing ran pretty darn good in Caesars Creek last year, and it looked like it got some good runs in Edgewood. And I know that dude's one of the hardest workers in boat racing, so I fully expect that thing to be moving good.
Yeah, and I didn't even think about Greg, but with Eddie, if Eddie's driving for Greg,
Nah, he'll be up in Sorel, so I'm not sure who's driving for Greg.
well, you may put Ritz in it because Ritz
true.
drove in Edgewood.
That's
correct?
true. That would make sense.
But yeah, you're right. He's one of the nicest guys. He's no slouch, and he can put together a good package.
Oh yeah.
And that'll be an interesting weekend to watch that class.
Yeah, and you got Bartels in the A1. So yeah,
Yep.
I think it's just those 4 that's gonna be there. I could be missing somebody, but those 4 boats are gonna put on a hell of a show. Like we said at the beginning, I don't think there's a class where you're gonna be like, darn, this show sucks.
I was getting a phone call. Joe Sobey was trying to call through.
Oh, all good. But are we missing anybody? I think we. Oh, we got one more class. We kind of talked about them, but we didn't make a pick. One more class before we send you on your way. Speed skiffs. Who you got? And it's a tough one. That's a hard class to pick.
Somehow, Jimmy Stewart always manages to rise to the top in big events. I know that Sam Awancio, um, or the 45, who that is Sam, correct?
That's Sam. Yep.
She's going to be the dark horse. If I have to pick in the Stewart family, it's either going to be Jimmy and his sister, or it's going to be Peg Awancio, or it's going to be Sam Awancio and her rider.
All right.
Those two.
Okay. Yeah.
But
that's
my
gonna
heart's
be a
with
tight
all
class.
of them, though.
That's gonna be a tight class. I mean, you got the 9. As long as the 991's there, they're gonna be right there in the mix. You might see a couple of those Florida skiff guys just show up unannounced. They like to make it out when there's some money on the line and there's a title.
The Bertulas?
I don't know. I don't know if they'll be.
How about Jay Hardy? He's another one that just.
They will be there. They are going to be there. They will absolutely be in the mix.
If Hardy's on his game, he could be a player. That boat is fast.
It's very fast, and I know they had kind of. I'm not sure if they were just kind of getting a skid fin on like anyone they could in Edgewood, or if they were trying something new and just trying to figure it out. I know it didn't handle quite as ideally as I think they would have wanted to there, but they were still right up there in the mix with the 45, the 991, the 10. So yeah, skiffs might be the best show of the weekend. It's kind of when they get 10 of them out there, it's hard to beat those guys. They're just fun to watch.
I can just tell you this from a rider standpoint, when you get that many skiffs on the water, it gets busy.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Yep.
All right. Well, Tony, I really appreciate you coming on tonight. Kind of giving your perspective and kind of recap on the driving school. And again, I thank you and the whole team and everybody involved in putting it on for what they do. It's a great thing for our sport, and I appreciate you letting us come down, and then appreciate the invite to come back. We definitely plan on attending. And then as far as Decatur goes, I wish you guys the best of luck this weekend. Looks like you're going to have a good competitive class, and I'm looking forward to watching.
I think if we have good weather, Decatur's always, you could get one day that it's horrible weather and tornadoes and thunderstorms, and the next day you could fry eggs in the parking lot. But
yep.
As long as we have good weather and no accidents or whatever, that's all we can hope for. And good luck to all the racers out there. I hope you all get to take home something.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you guys,
Kyle,
I wish
thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely.
I really appreciate being on here with you guys. I've followed you and your brothers now for a couple of years and tried to be a big cheerleader, and and you guys are awesome to watch. And I think a lot of what you've done, not only with your race team, but trying to bring the sport a more visible, as readily or easily accessible, with what you're doing with your podcast and everything else. And I really am amazed at what you guys have been able to do. Like I said, I struggle to plug in a phone charger, so I'm not technical by any means, but I thank you guys for what you're doing, and in your own way, you're paying it forward for the sport. It's good to be a part of it.
No, I appreciate that, Tony. Yeah, we've been watching people for a long time, continuing to get back to the sport, and we just want to do our best to contribute as well. And we might not be the best at working on engines, but we can sure as hell get some videos out there.
Well, you guys do a great job. Again, thank you so much, and good luck this weekend, and travel safe. And as long as we don't have any horror stories to tell each other on Friday afternoon when we get in the pits, it's all good, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Thanks, Kyle. You guys have a good evening, and we'll see you in a few days.
Sounds good, Tony. Take care. We'll see you soon.
Yes, sir. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right. Well, that was cool. Like I said, driving school is a really, really fun time. Tony and team do a really good job down there. If you have not been to the driving school, I encourage you to find a way to get out there one year. Just experience it. If you got a family member that like to get out there and try it, I would definitely advise that you look into it. It's a lot of fun. Decatur's going to be a really good weekend this weekend. It seems like every class has got a solid count of boats and quality boats that will be able to put on a really good show, and it should be fun. I'm excited to go down there. It's bittersweet that we're choosing to go to one race and not being able. If we could be in both places at once, I would absolutely do it. But I'm looking forward to nationals, and I guess we'll get on to Sorel. I'm not going to sit here and talk too much just by myself, but what we can do, and I'll kind of give some commentaries. We're going to go through the rest of the Chase and Tails crew picks for both races this weekend. We'll start with Decatur since we just went over that, and then we'll move into Sorel. For Bobby, we got in the Y class the 41 with JMK. In the 2.5 stock class, I got the S1. Thanks, Bob. Appreciate the confidence. In the E class, we have the 924. I know it's not Patrick driving this weekend, but my understanding was they were registered, so there will be somebody in that boat, and that boat is wicked fast. And then in the skiff class, we got Billy Sewell in the 991. Obviously a very fast boat, but that is going to be a very fun class to watch, and it's about 4 or 5 people that I think can win that one. On to Brandon. In the Y class, we got the Y2 with Chris Ritz behind the wheel. Also the S1. We're just gonna blanket statement. Everybody picked the one in on the Chase and Tails crew, so I guess I got no pressure. 242 in the E class. Bobby King, like we said earlier with Tony, that boat over the last 5-6 years has been the standard in the 350 class, and I don't see this weekend being any different. Although the 924 I think is gonna give them a challenge. And then Brandon's pick in the skiff class is Jay Hardy in the 22. Wicked fast. I know they took a year off after the accident, but watched them race a little bit in Edgewood, and they seem to be kind of picking right back up where they left off, and no doubt will be a factor this weekend. Austin has the 41 with JMK in the Y class, the 1 in the S class. Bobby King as well in the E class, and then he is going with his ride in the skiff. If he ever wants to get back in it, I guess he ought to pick them to win, right? The 991 and Billy Sewell. And then this weekend, kind of similar to Brandon, I'm gonna go with the Y2 in the Y class. I saw Chris run real good last year, run very well with the 18. Not knocking Corey, but Corey just hasn't been in the boat as much. I don't know when the last time he drove that boat was necessarily, or how much he's gotten in it this year. So I do think there's some learning there, whether you're an H1 driver or not. Every boat's a little different. And then JMK is going to be in the mix. There's no doubt. Those 3 boats, I think, are going to put on a great show. And then I think the other 2 are going to be right there with them as well. I am picking myself. I'm done not picking. So, well, we'll put the pressure on myself. I do think that the 924 is going to come out hot this year, and I think make a statement early on here. And I'm going to pick them to just slightly edge Bobby King, but there is no doubt that is going to be 4 really fun heats to watch. And then I'm also going with the 991. I'm sorry, Sam. It's you guys are going to be in the mix. If you win, you can give me all the shit in the world. But just going off what I saw in Edgewood, the 991 is wicked fast. And if Billy can stay out of any trouble at fighting for lanes, or any of the commotion that those guys can get into with the skiffs in turn 1 when you go in 8-10 deep, I do think that speed is pretty wicked and gonna be hard to beat. But like I said, anybody can win in that class. And Sam, I hope you prove me wrong. If you prove me wrong, you have full freedom to give me shit until the end of the season. But moving on to Sorel, like I said, bummed to not be there this weekend. Ultimately, I had to make a tough decision. Really wish we didn't have to make it, but we're gonna go to nationals. But Sorel is going to be action packed. It always is. You can say what you want about the race course. It makes for some damn good racing, and the competition in HRL is really hard to deny right now. if Cambridge two heats per class, I guess 3 with the finals of racing which was a sign for anything this year in HRL in 2026. It is going to be a barn burner every weekend. So let's get into the picks. Starting with Bobby. Bobby has Remy in the 91 winning in the R class. But like you said last week, the R class is kind of coming around on Bob. I think he's going to be paying attention a little more these next few races, and there's a lot of competition there. A lot of boats very close with each other, and the experience levels are all super similar, except for maybe your rookies. So it's going to be a really interesting weekend. I know they're getting 2 extra competitors that weren't there in Cambridge, so going to be action packed. He is going with Eddie Camfush in the 16. I can't blame him on that one in the F class. Eddie was the class of the field in Sorel. I do think that on the tighter, narrower course, it's going to be a little bit more of a battle between him and John. And then we'll see what happens with some of the guys behind on the 57, the 555. I think you'll see Sam Tremblay out there in the 5 this weekend. And Sam's been a rocket ship for a couple years in the 113. And I think now he's getting into a lighter, a little bit more modern, or more, I don't want to say competitive because we don't see yet, but a hull that is built a little bit more like the others, and I think he'll have a little bit more freedom to kind of drive it the way he wants versus having to just float the thing and hope that it stays down. 350, Bob's going with the 306. I fully suspect that Bob will pick the 306 at every single race this year after last weekend. Those guys have a absolute weapon. It's awesome to watch. It's a beautiful boat, and it is damn fast. Until I also have the 306 until I see otherwise, and until Bob see otherwise, that's going to be the pick in the 350 class. And then in our Pro Hydro class, Bob is going with Guillaume in his first weekend out in the 77. Saw pictures of the boat last week. Looks really good. Looks really similar to a GP that ran the last few years, but looks good. I'm excited to see what happens in the V class this weekend. I believe there's going to be 5 boats. Let me pull up the message from Derek earlier. I do think it was 5. So yeah, you're gonna have the 76 with Derek, the 77, Dominic Mesanov in the 104, Eric LaBelle in the 19, and Denise Rouche in the 10 or 110. So you're gonna have a pretty much full field of pro hydros. I feel like this is kind of a chance to be a real coming out party for that class. I know they've been trying to get it off the ground and haven't necessarily had the boat count to this point, but I'm pretty sure this could be the first weekend they've had this many boats, and they're all quality. We've seen them run in the last few years, so I'm excited to see what type of show those guys can put on. On to Brandon. Brandon's got Lucas in the 104 in the R class. Lucas, I think, built up every race last weekend, and if not for an unfortunate failure on the wing, I think he would have been a pretty comfortable second, maybe challenging for the win there in that final in Cambridge. So very competitive class, but Brandon's going to go with the Lucas in the 104 this weekend. Kind of surprise pick here. Brandon's going with the 5 and Sam Tremblay in the F class. I don't hate the pick at all. I'm really excited to see what Sam can do in a more standard Henderson Hall. I don't think anybody doubts that dude's got the willingness to push the thing to the ragged edge, and I suspect he will be doing that no matter what boat he's in. So it would be interesting to see what he can do in Tommy's old boat. I hope he gets up there and challenges with Eddie and John and just makes this class even all the more competitive. That way it was just going to be really fun when we get back in there in Brockville. 350 is going with Roshan. Roshan had a little bit of a tough weekend in Cambridge, but if you've been watching HRL the last 2 seasons, you know that the 773 is not one to sleep on. It is very fast. Some would probably argue the fastest in the fleet. They got to show it, though. Kind of got maybe bad luck, maybe a couple mistakes made in Cambridge, and ultimately didn't end up being in the final. But I know they're going to be eager to get back out there and reestablish themselves as one of the top contenders. Brandon's also going with the 77 in the Pro Hydro class. We got two for the 77. First weekend out in the boat. Obviously, if everything's right, I definitely think that new hull can go out there and really put on a show. But you never know first weekend with a boat. We'll have to see. On to Austin. Austin is going with Aiden Sovey in the 50 for the R class. So far, we got three different picks. It's kind of conducive with what that class showed in Cambridge. There's probably 5 to 6, maybe 7, 8 boats that can win in that class any weekend, Fords and Hondas. So it's going to be a fun one to watch. He is going with F16 and Eddie Canfouche. After last race, it's really hard, I think, to pick anybody else. Obviously, Brandon going with a little bit of a surprise pick, but I think Austin's gonna go with what the racing showed, and until proven otherwise, it's gonna be Eddie Canfouche in the 16. Kind of a surprise pick, but I think definitely justifiable after the Cambridge race. Austin's picking Nick Roos in the 225 for 350. Nick in his first weekend back after 2 years. I mean, he came back like he's been here. He never left. Started out in lane 6, 7 for the final. Kind of did the good old jump to the buoy rows once everything clears after the start, and was able to work his way up the field and into second. It's a good pick. The boat looked really good. Nick's no amateur. I mean, that dude's been driving for a long time. Got a chance in GP, and definitely well deserved. So, it's a tall task to run down that 306, but I do think Nick is going to put up a fight, and it'll be interesting to see where he sits in that final going into it, and anything can happen in a 350 final. And then Austin switching it up from the 77 or the 77 in Pro Hydro, going with Derek Anderson in the 76 in the old Blue Water Special. Gonna be. I also have the 76. I think that's the most proven boat in the class. It's very possible that the brand new 77 could come out there and just be a rocket ship right out of the box. But 76, every time I've seen it run, it's done well. It's been fast. It's been consistent. And Derek is probably one of the most experienced drivers in inboard racing right now. That dude's got tons of heats under his belt. Lots of 2.5 racing. Did race in multiple classes. So he's going to be very competitive behind the wheel, and I think I'm just going to go ahead and skip my pick on that one. I really do think that Derek's going to come home with the win in that one, and it'll be really cool to see Derek get back up on the winner's pedestal, winner's circle, whatever you want to call it, if he's able to do so. I'm breaking the trend of different picks in the R class. I am also picking the 104. I got to pit next to Lucas and them last week, and like I said, they got better every race. Dealt with issues, and we're still getting better every race. And I really think if the wing wouldn't have broken, he had that rooster tail dive move pulled off in the final, and I think he would have been able to sneak up the inside and get through. But we'll see. We'll see what happens this weekend. That boat's wicked fast. It's way better now that they got whatever was wrong with it done, fixed on the sponsons. Lucas isn't going in circles anymore. He got through a whole weekend, no spins, and the boat's always been fast. It's just been a little bit of a handful in the turns. So I say look for the 104 at the end of the weekend. I am sticking with Eddie until proven otherwise. That is the class of the field. I know John and them had some issues in Cambridge. I do fully expect that gap to be much closer, if not deck to deck, especially on the tighter course. But the 16 was on rails last weekend. Eddie did a phenomenal job, or not last weekend, 2 weekends ago. Eddie did a phenomenal job, and even if John and them get their issues figured out, it is not going to be just a matter of, okay, we're fast again, let's win. They are going to have their hands full trying to get around that 16. 350, yeah, I'm going with Bob, Dog Nasty. Until I see somebody beat him, that's the boat to beat. That thing, to Bob's point, it's stable. It just looks so easy to drive. I'm not saying it is. I'm sure Tommy does a phenomenal job. But it just looks fast in every way. It looks easy to drive. It looks smooth through the turns. It floats on the straightaways. Doesn't seem to really ever get out of shape. Yeah, they're at the top right now. They're going to be hunted by a lot, but I think the chasing they've done and the battling that Tommy's done a lot of deck to deck the last couple of years. I think they're prepared for it. They're ready for any challenge that gets thrown their way. And, yeah, I fully expect them to come out on top after this weekend. And then, like I said, going with 76, Derek Anderson in Pro Hydro. Overall, I think you are going to see one of the best weekends of racing in Sorel that we've seen. I know it's only been a couple with some of the bad weather. I do hope that their barrier situation works. I don't know the science behind all that, but I did see the video of them getting it all set up, I think yesterday. It's an awesome race site. I'm bummed not to be there this year. It's a fun one. The fan engagement, the fan turnout is awesome. The little concerts that they do on the pier at night are very fun, and the racing's always good. I know No, it could be a little dicey out there on that water sometimes. So hopefully those barriers work. But rough water makes for good racing. So yeah, I'm not going to sit here and ramble. I could go on and on, but if you're watching, go check out the HRL live stream this weekend up in Sorel Tracy. On another tab, pull up the Hardy's Race for the Lake on the Decatur Boat Races page. I'm sure the link will be there. It's going to be nonstop action all weekend in 2 different places. I don't think you're going to see downtime on the water if you got both screens pulled up. We'll be back next Wednesday to kind of recap all the action and wish safe driving to all the people racing this weekend. Safe travels to all the teams on your way, and yeah, everybody be safe, have fun. Go fast, turn left, and we will see you next Wednesday.